I don't normally make videos like this, but I find it necessary. I have a lot of new subs that haven't been with me a long time, and you keep sending me all these links and asking me all these questions about what's going on. I know exactly what's going on, and maybe if I just tell you, I think it's unnecessary myself, but if I just tell you, then maybe it will help you to calm down or to collect yourself. You've been fragmented. Compromise, an agreement or settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions. To start with, there are words within words. A compromise comes with a promise. It's compromise. Com means with. It comes with a promise. Okay? When you are compromised, that is the name of the game today. I'm not going to bother with going to these biblical verses because most of you that are asking me this have been raised in the church and you know these verses when I say them. I try to take people there because a lot of New Agers do come to my channel that have never had the opportunity to read that book for what it is, not what it's been shown for. Iniquity must come to a full. The harvest is ripe. That means the same thing. The kingdom is like man who planted a garden and then he went away and somebody else came along and planted tares in the garden. And you can't tell the wheat from the tares till the harvest is ready. Iniquity has come to a full. So another word that's going to go with harvest, purge. I'm trying to get you people to look at this on a micro scale that has to do with you individually. But you seem to be focused on what's going on in the world. So we'll talk about it. Let's go back over here. Move this up. Let's continue to look at what this said about compromise. It's an agreement. Agree and ment means mind. We get the word mental. Agreement. And the word mental itself is quite ironic. Coming from the Greek and understanding the alchemy, it means the lower mind. Mental means lower mind. And then there's the upper mind. Mental. You're either mental or you have mentality. You need to understand the form of sentence structure because truly all of this is about language. It's all a spell. It's all about grammar and sentence structure. Before alphabets, everything was a symbolic language, and our subconscious mind was not separate from our conscious mind. Our conscious mind was made to focus, repeat and repeat a thing till we learn it. It's called a program. It's programmer. The programmer is programmer. Okay, quiet for now. As I was saying, the programmer is programmer. When you talk about the word lawyer, in English, British, UK, they're called barristers. Before that, they were known as grammarians. And this word, you can literally trace it all the way back into the ancient Greek and the alchemical Greek, and it means hypocrite. It means hypocrite. In the beginning was the word. That word is actually verb, V-E-R-B. It denotes action. It's associated with the constellation of Capricorn. You'll recognize the same phrase in Genesis in let there be. It's the word let. In the beginning was let. As I was saying before, when we did not have alphabets, the first bet, which is Beth in the Hebrew, which would be house. So it was the first house, and the first house was divided. So now we have the subconscious and the conscious, one built upon the top of the other. Everything's built on top of everything else. This is deep hermetics. Only those of you who are extremely advanced are going to get how all of this is connected. But you ask me about the root of it and the source of it, and I'm telling you it's a spell. It's about the language. This is how I found all of this. I do languages, not just languages. I am obsessed with communication. I have a Mercury problem from when I got here. It is my life's obsession, is to be able to communicate things to you. And so I've had to study the languages to try to find a way to express it. Because there are no words, there are no verbs. There is no expression showing action, motion, making it a verb. So important that you actually passed English, or at least the grammar part of it, to know the difference between a noun, a verb, a preposition, to an article, to know the difference between idioms, roots, it's called phonetics. This is the spell. This is the compromise. Okay? But this is the phonetic spelling. But it says compromise. And it does come compromise. We'll look at watch. Origin. Oh, I hate what they're doing. From Old French, compromise. There it is. It's 3 syllables. It's 3 syllables. We say, and you can hear it, compromise. So it is the root of the words. It's a verb. It's something you do. It's third person present is compromises. Past tense, compromised. Past participle, compromised. You need to understand what all of this means to understand what a word is or what a spell is. Okay. Microcosm. Grammar. Microcosm. Grammar. Macrocosm. Everything you see around you. Because everything came from it. And nothing came from it that didn't come from it. We're talking about what it is. Let's do this. I love the way Bill Donahue done this video, and it's about it. Because creator, or this force, this source, is neither male nor female. It is androgynous. It's both. It's whole and complete in itself. It needs nothing. You can go to the Alchemy Library. They call it the second revelation of John. But actually it's the first. The one in the Bible is the second. You'll never understand the book of Revelation in the Bible if you don't understand John's revelation and the Nag Hammadi. They call it the secret gospels, and that also is encoded. Everything is encoded with an alchemical language, a subconscious symbolic language. And the 99% of this population was never taught this language. The 1% were. Okay? And it's what? What's the lower mind? The mental. The mental. So an agreement or settle the mind of a dispute that is reached by each side. There's division. We've done individualism, noting that is dualism. So our subconscious mind and our conscious mind, that duality within, and we make concessions with sessions. Con being with, come without, or with, dis without, miss without. These prefixes that they add to words changes the meaning of words. It denotes what part of speech or grammar it is representing at that time. A thing can be a noun or a verb, depending upon how it is used. Back to the microcosm. Iniquity must come to a full. And I do believe we're all seeing that on this planet. Everybody is looking around, looking for answers, and wondering how much longer can the abomination continue. What's happening on this planet? And more than half of the people are asleep to it. You feel isolated from your families, from your friends. A lot of you are on that mutable cross, and all of this is being purged off of you. It's being refined. When you plant the garden, I grew up on a farm, so hear me. I know exactly what I'm talking about. These were some of the first things I learned. So when I was older and I actually got a chance to read the Bible before I was programmed by it, I read it before I ever walked into a church. We didn't have God in my family, but I grew up on a farm. So, reaping and sowing, I understand. Planting the garden, and then the weeds come up, right? Somebody's come along and plant these weeds. So you go in and the weeds look just like the plants. The tares look just like the wheat. You can't pull them up till it's time for the harvest. They let them grow together. And we've all grown together. So now the harvest is ripe. Iniquity has come to a full. It's time to, what do you do first? You go in and listen to me, one by one, you pull the tares out and you throw them in the fire. Uranus is in Aries right now, which is cardinal fire. That's the planet of outer transformation, what you're going to see in the world around you. It is fixing to go retrograde back into Pisces, and it's going to start picking up the energy of Pisces, which is people. Instead of refinement, we're going to move back into purging people. So you're going to see that more big, because it's been a long time coming. Uranus has been there for a while, gone retrograde a couple of times, trying to let this be finished. So it's fixing to be finished. Like I said, over the summer, Uranus is going to go retrograde. Mars is already retrograde. Saturn is retrograde. All the gloves off. Gloves off, especially with the houses that they're in. Saturn in the house, retrograde in the house of ideology. The walls come down. It's taking the gloves off. Mars retrograde in Capricorn, the sign of the government. The gloves are off. No holds barred. Not holding back. It's like almost that goat is backing up, right? And this is doing with a message. We're talking about a message here, Mercury. It's backing up. It's even going to back up into Sagittarius, which is ideology. And then it's going to come straight forward and back into Capricorn for a double dose. Because it's going to turn around and shoot forward over area it's already been. So get ready for a lot of change and a push by the government. Saturn ruling government in the house of ideology, so it's going to be government ideologies. It's going to be about removing people, Uranus, and then refinement in Uranus, moving in back into Aries after the summer. Right now, Jupiter is retrograde in the wisdom of the heavens. So you got time to think outside of the box. But when Jupiter moves forward, it will be a more confined thinking inside the box, but the topic will still be the wisdom of the heavens, Libra, balance, harmony. Where's everybody else at? The sun is in Taurus. It's fixed. Mercury today is debilitated of the sun. Mercury in Taurus, fixing to move away. It's moving away. It's moving out of debilitation. Fixed earth, money, wealth, security. Everybody's worried about their security. It's the house of when the Jews came out into the wilderness, they wanted the security of Egypt. That security, that fixed earth, that guarantee. It's like that Social Security check that comes every month. It's a guarantee you got security. You got to understand what the symbology actually means. A picture paints 1,000 words. To me, in the beginning was thought, not word. In the beginning of this reality, this matrix, it was the word. But the word had a beginning, and that was thought. And thought really has a place in the subconscious, and there's a place, the pineal gland to me, it opens the door into either the lower consciousness or the upper consciousness. Because like there are three. This thing is so layered. I would love to explain it in a way, but literally that's not possible. That's why it's hidden from the masses. That's why it's the pearl of great price that you have to sell everything for, let go of everything in your life to get it. And what you don't let go of, it's going to cost you anyway, because it drives people insane. People will think you're crazy. But it's the true knowing. It's the true understanding of standing under, standing within, standing above, standing around. It's looking at all of it from everybody's point of view. But knowing what these words mean. I can't tell you how important that is. Where does a word come from? We had the ability. They were great databases that were uploaded onto the internet when it first came out. And my whole life I've been trying to get my hands on books called Word Origins. And it's hard to do that. They don't let go of them. You will not find them on the shelves. So when I started digging, there was very little material that had to be found. When digging into language and how language is structured, where they come from, I traced them all back to the Bible. Bibble babble. What happened to the language? We had one language. What happened to the language? I found the original language, but it's a symbolic one, and it's rooted in the subconscious mind. And we act on it from the reptilian mind when they show us these symbols. My. What tales they do tell. And then all of these tears of information, false information, from, I don't even know where this comes from. It's been just people's imaginations, coming from from the expressions of only one perspective. If I showed you a dice on a table and it had showing the number, you're sitting at a table looking at a dice, you're going to see the number 6, but the guy on the other side is going to see the number 1. You're looking at the same thing, but you're seeing two different things, and you don't realize what you're looking at. But it's all the same thing. Yet the 6 argues with the 1 when they're the same thing. It's not what it is. The question is, where are you? I want to make you pop the top of your head off and actually stop thinking and look with your real eyes. Your real eye. And you won't need to ask me these questions. You'll find yourself in a treasure trove, call it the Akashic Records, to where anything you want to know, and then you have, and it's not given to you, well, it's like this, this, and this. You just know. It's like a download of information. You are in the light. You are one with the light. The light has all the information. I was thrilled to death when fiber optics came out. And that science was actually expressing something I've been trying to tell everybody all along. We are information embedded in light. We are light information. Information, data is transferred, and it's decoded into a light form. And then it travels across that glass fiber optic tube. It comes out on the other end that decodes it on the other end. All right, the light is sending us information. The pineal gland is the decode, but we're not running on it. We're running on the other matrix. You can walk in both. You can walk in both worlds. We have to here. We're spirit and flesh, but you're disconnected from spirit. You have an emotional feeling from your heart, and you have these thoughts in your mind. And you know that there's something there, but you can't touch it. With the pineal gland, you can touch it. You can drink it. You can taste it. You can smell it and everything around you. And then you see the 6 is the 1, and the 5 is the 2, and the 4 is the 3. And they are one. And you become the die. 1 is a die. You have to have 2 to cast lots. Cast. The word cast. You cast somebody in a play. Lucifer was cast down as Isis in the play of Taurus. You're at the opera house. We're at the great opera house, and we're all in the audience watching ourselves perform. Pre-form, before the form. You get a prescription before the script begins. Right now I feel like we're at the intermission. The intermission at the movie theater. You remember that? You go to, now you enter the mission. You enter your mission at 30 years old on your first Saturn return. Saturn gives you 30 years to learn the lesson of the house that he's in your house, in your natal chart. What house is Saturn in? That's your mission. For 30 years, this is what you have to learn. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And then at 30, when Jesus began his ministry, his mission, he had a prescription, then you get your mission. Then you get remissioned. You go into remission. Cancer going into remission. The cancer wouldn't happen if you knew what your mission was. Cancer wouldn't happen if you would just go within and let the teacher within, that lamb, Thalem, the teacher, the master, the rabbi, whatever language you want to translate it into. And that's your teacher. I'm only pointing you to the teacher. I'm like the voice crying in the wilderness going, he's the one. Come here, I'll baptize you with these words of confusion, but go ahead. He's the one. Go within. I can only tell you the way. It's the straight and narrow way. If you're into astrology, I can tell you to look up. This is the answer up there. And then I can define it in grammar. I can define it in the things I understand. I can do it in art. I can show you the same thing and show you all of these great paintings around the world. And if you understand the symbology and the alchemy, you will understand the 1,000 words that are behind the painting. And you'll know exactly what they mean. You'll never understand a word without understanding the symbol behind it, because the alphabet is a set of symbols that have meanings within meanings beyond when you start grouping them together. A syllable, it has to be at least 3 spaces, and it's either 2 consonants and 1 vowel, or 2 vowels and a consonant. A consonant must have a vowel. It cannot stand alone, but a vowel can stand alone. The vowel is the vowel to L. In alchemy, to do gematria, you must throw the vowels away because they're variable. They move. They're like the leaves in the wind. But the tree, you want the root. You want the root. It's the consonant, and that's the constellations. I can take it above. I can take it below. I can take it within. Mercury in communication was my point. What was my point? What did I want to tell everybody? The same thing I told you when I was a child. The same thing I've been repeating my whole life. I remember before I was born. We are these energy balls of light. That's what we are. And we're in the womb, the matrix. But there's been another matrix that's overlaid you. When I got here, I realized something took over this place. I'm in Mama's womb. Why does this feel like Daddy? The patriarch was ruling. The mother is the womb. There is that division, that subconscious, that female womb of the mind. And she deals in symbolisms. She was given the knowledge first. When she gave that knowledge to Adam, the masculine sense of your brain, the logical side, you became confused. And you took it and threw it into the lower mind, the lower chakra. And it became about sexuality and the lust and pleasures of the physical body instead of the spiritual body. There are 2 of you. When you pop your pineal gland, your whole body fills with light. Matthew chapter 6, verse 22-23. If thine eye be single, close your 2 eyes, open your 3rd eye. It's neither masculine or feminine. It doesn't think in those terms. It thinks in positive and negative. And it takes the 2 to make the connection. And then you want to be grounded with that 3rd, and then you can pull the 220, the 220s, the 2020. You have hindsight. You have hindsight. You can see the 6 and the 1 at the same time. You have hindsight. Guess what's coming in 2020? This is what the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is about. They call it Nibiru. When Jupiter stands in front of Saturn, and you can, with the right telescope, you can see the wings of Jupiter. But it's truly the crown of Saturn. It's not the wings of Jupiter, but that's that mortality putting on immortality. Your desires moving into the crown chakra instead of the base elements. It's going to happen in Capricorn. Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. Empire, expansion, desires, all that, poof, debilitated. It's about government. Govern the mind. You let those around you govern you. It's your mind. You should let the teacher within govern the mind. They call that rebellion. To do again. Who is Bel? Bel means Lord. They're trying to get your mind back to their Lord instead of your Lord. Your Lord is within you. That's why it's sovereignty. You're sovereign. You are many, but you are one. You pull yourself back together. Sovereignty. You've been compromised with a promise. Compromise comes with a promise, with each side making concessions. The government is doing the concessions. I call that the Jeff Sessions, right? He looks like he's on this side. He looks like he's on that side. He's both sides. He's Jeff Sessions. Oh, he's from Alabama, so I know this guy well, right? He plays both sides. Alabama, if you even study the states of the Union, you will understand how we're divided. You see the fragmentation. You see how we have been fragmented and oppositioned against each other. You have those even within that are compromised. Even within states, you have the conflict between Alabama and Auburn. And then the bigger pictures. And then the symbols of the states. Oh my goodness. Once you realize alchemy in this symbolic language, then you start looking around, and all of a sudden you understand why in the movie that certain signs, the picture behind them were telling you to obey or to go to sleep, because that was the symbol being evoked. It was telling you there's a symbol here that is talking to your subconscious mind. You look at these commercials about, say, you're having trouble going to sleep, a commercial for Ambien, right? There's going to be a symbol in there that's going to evoke in you subconsciously to suffer from insomnia, because it wants to make you sleep. A symbol in you that makes you tired and desiring sleep, exhaustion. It's a symbol that can drain you, or a particular part of the population. When you know the symbols, when you know the magic, it doesn't affect you anymore, because now your conscious mind is aware of this, what the symbol means in the subconscious mind. Now your mentality is ruling over your mental. Are you understanding this? It had to start with language with me, because that is my mode of communication. I speak. I'm not very artistic. I can't paint the picture to show you. You can see how I scribble myself. I know about scribbling, and I know how the scribes scribble the scriptures. The scribes scribbled the tongues. The scribes scribbled every damn thing. But I also know the original, so I can go back and pull their scribble off and see what they painted over the top of. I can go back and scribble the sexuality out of an image, and I know what it means on the metaphysical level. That's probably a better term. The physical fighting with the metaphysical. The physics of the mind. Mind over matter. Spirit over flesh. The flesh is ruling the spirit. The spirit's supposed to be ruling the flesh. That this is what's wrong here. This is what I've been trying to tell everybody since I got here. And if you don't know what I'm saying to you right now, you haven't watched Video Letters to Joan, page 1, 2, 3, and 4. So think about that. You might want to go back and watch those, because I'm telling, and it might awaken some symbolic images in your subconscious when I start talking about those things, about remembering before I was born, that we come from thought, that we're this little light, and we're like this one thought in the mind of God, and we're all like in this plasma field that seems to be blue, and we communicate with each other electrically, and we're all one, and we all know each other. You could think of it the same way as being all the sperm in the sexual activity between a man and a woman, and then that one little sperm breaks the egg. You're that sperm that broke the egg. But that happened on a physical level. This also happens on a cosmic level. And when you came into this body, that spirit part of you, that soul part of you, exists in your pineal gland. It's the other part of you, and it wants to come out and say, hello, been waiting on you. Where you been? I'm the other half. Let's come together. We can make a whole. There's your symbol of the Mogan David. but it's not masculine over feminine. It's they're within, they're intertwined within and without. They become one. You become finally your me becomes your we. As above, so below. Your me becomes your we. Let me stop this. It won't let me access another program till I do this. You're me. You think you're me. And I'm speaking like I'm speaking to myself. I'm me. I realized that I was we. And they're mirrored. They're looking at each other in the mirror. Be careful doing that. I warn you. We are beings that manifest our own realities. And we were kids playing with matches when it comes to magic and alchemy. And we've been taught a lot of spells. We've cast a lot of spells on ourselves that we're not aware of just because we participate. We part is a pate. You need to learn, and I don't even know how to teach you to learn that, because for me to understand what my own English alphabet was, I had to learn a dozen others. And I don't mean just learn ABC, I mean learn what those symbols meant. That's why I tell you, when you see a symbol in one epic, that don't mean the symbol means the same thing in another. You have to know the legend. You have to know everything that's going on around that symbol to say, oh yeah, that represents so-and-so. So now that's from the Greek. So now I know that symbol means this. Or that myth and legend is from the Norse. So now that I know that same symbol means that. Because they flipped the script on us. Greek is frickin' Arabic reversed, vowels removed. They just scribbled the constellations. They scribbled the constellations on us. How did they do that? With two different zodiacs. That's why I'm telling you, I didn't take the solar path or the lunar path. Saturnalian astrology is about the middle path. It's not about the sun or the moon, severity or mercy. Because those deal with the physical world. They deal with the lower chakras of the physical world. What we need to be doing is interested in the upper chakras of the spiritual world. That's where we live. That's our mind. That's what you take with us when you leave. Your lower chakras, they all die off. You're left with your mind. And some people go out of their mind into their hearts. Fine, you're in the upper chakras. You can juggle between Mercury, Venus, and Saturn. They rule heaven and earth. We want heaven on earth. The upper part of us is immortal. The lower part of us is mortal. This part that reproduces itself. You're divided between above and below, and they're mirrored opposite of each other. Right across your midsection. You're divided. The me is the we. So really, you're more like two diamonds. When you bring yourself together, or you can pull yourself completely over each other, and you become this, which is DNA. It's also the symbols, listen to me, the symbols for Aquarius. Look at what they are. Charlie Brown wears them. His are not together yet. This is the purpose of Aquarius. Mortality, the lower chakras, putting on the immortality of the upper chakras. And they've got us doing it backwards. It's building your light body. Listen to me. If the flesh has a DNA code, so does the spirit. Bzzz, and the light comes on, Ding, 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 ding. Give the boy a prize. Give the girl a prize. Give the we a prize. That's what it's going to be, a we a prize. But you can take what they're putting in the media. These, call them headlines. They're lines in your head. And decode them using alchemy. I'm telling you how to break these words down and find out what the root words mean, but I'm not going to sit and do it for everybody. This is your homework. We're back in kindergarten. I started everything this way. Inside 33 Archive, I take you into the root of everything. They might have gotten rid of etymology online, but the words that will open your mind to show you the link between the two, between the upper and the lower, all those videos are done. You're just going to have to go back and watch them. I started with language. It kept taking me to astrology. So, and then I moved into the alchemy, and it kept taking me to astrology. That the source is above. The source code is above, and that's that alchemical magic wheel. And when you understand alchemy, what the names of the planets, what the names of the stars, using the languages, the ancient tongues, and find the roots of these words, each one tells a story. Each one has a legend that's been hidden from us all. And it's about us. It's about what we are, who we are, why we're here. You are the egg inside of the chicken. You're the yolk. You're the yolk. You are your own yolk. But you're becoming the bird. And you got to peck your way out. The veil is the shell. The pineal gland is covered with calcium, just like the shell of an egg. And the other you is inside, pecking its way out, showing you little pieces of light of itself. I know, I walked for years not sure if I was in the light or the dark, and then realizing I actually learned the ability to walk in both at the same time. And my grandmother used to tell me that, and I didn't understand. She used to tell me that because she would be talking to me, and I would just go off into a daze, right? I'm going in while she's sitting there talking to me. And my mind is producing all these images from her words. And I just go into a daze and start walking in that world. And she would always tell me, you're in another world. You're just in two worlds. That's what you are. I would do it in school. I'd sit there and stare out the window while the teacher's just jacking on, and it's just boring as hell. But I hear every word she says. You ever been driving down the road, and it's like you fell asleep, and you wake up, and you realize, oh my God, how am I still on the road? Has that ever happened to you? Who do you think was driving? Jesus got the wheel? That was your other half. That pineal gland, that higher self taking over. And if you really want to know, you're going to have to meditate. But even people that pop their pineal gland, it was like me, I didn't understand. I had to learn the alchemy to understand the process that had occurred to me. I mean, I knew what it felt like. I was trying to explain it to people. They thought I was fucking crazy. I didn't have the language. Well, she seems perfectly sane. She's a straight A student. She gets along with the kids well. She's passive. She defuses shit before it starts. I had it going on in school. But I was very vocal. I was telling them, no, this is wrong. That's not how it works. It works this way. If you understood where you come from, you'd know that. That you're not teaching us shit. I would take over my classes. If you want us to regurgitate information, then you must teach it to us in such a way that we can regurgitate it, because everybody learns differently. Some of us are audible, some of us are visual. Some of us you can show us something all day long, and you can tell us something all day long, and we can write it down 1,000 times. But until we start doing it with our hands, it's experience is the best teacher. You can tell a kid that fire's hot 1,000 times, but until that kid touches it, he'll never understand. You must touch a thing to know it. This information, alchemy comes alive. Alchemy is a living thing. It's a process. It's osmosis. It's everything that's going on around you. And it has a set pattern based on nature, 1.618. That 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And if you just learned it, you wouldn't care about the compromises with the coming with promises with the sessions. Think about what I'm telling you. I can't go back and do everybody's homework. Nobody would want to do it anyway. My life has not been all of that. I've mixed the good with the bad. In a way, I can tell you about this fabulous story of my life. But at the same time, it was a struggle you do not want to bear. I did not walk Job's mile. I have freaking crawled it on my hands and knees, and they lied. It's a lot longer than a mile. Their measurements are bad. I've been crawling a lifetime, and I'm still doing it. So if a life is 1 mile, then everybody just needs to smile, because we're almost there. We're at the last mile, people. We're almost there. Smile for the mile. A smile a mile. That's what we need to get through this. Because it's almost like a freaking joke's been played on us. And it is. It's a pun of the mind. Let me show you. I've done this video before. That's why I identify with Jim Carrey. I know that sounds crazy, but we were born on the same damn day. So I identify him like an alter ego of mine. And I really hate his movies. But I get it. The joke's on us. We're being punished. A joke is a pun, and ish is the word for man in Genesis 1. Ish. God created male and female. Ish. He called Ish Adam, Adam-ish. A damn dish. An ish. But it's a punish, it's a joke. And a joke can only be played on the mind. The war is not, when they say the war is not flesh and blood, but it's against powers and principalities. Powers and principalities only exist in the mind and the heart. The war is for your mind and your heart. That's the only war there is. And your mind is divided. You need to make a decision. And you're going to be asked to come with a promise for concessions. To make with sessions. Do you understand any of that? Are you standing under? Did you give up? Keep going. If you're watching this channel, you're on the right path. You wouldn't be here. This script has already been written. But we have a choice. I tell you, don't compromise. Don't come with a promise. I'll give you one promise, that if you'll do the work and go within, your life will change. And you won't have to compromise anymore. It won't even become an issue. And there'll be no more punishment. There'll be no more joke on your mind. Because when you're in the know, the K now. Let's do it backwards. W is magic. 0 is the circle, so we're talking about the magic circle. You're in the magic circle, and that's the spirit in the magic circle. You're the spirit in the magic circle. You're the yolk in the egg. And you have to come out of yourself. And you do that through the pineal gland. To get out of the egg, you must go in the egg. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Do you know the answer to that now? Using alchemy can open up any riddle. That's why they're riddles. They riddled the script as well. It's a joke. A joke is a riddle. To my older crowd, maybe a few of you younger ones, do you know what highlights are? And I'm not talking about the magic markers. There was a magazine for children called Highlights that we were given as kids. And in them were puzzles for the mind. They had pictures within pictures. They give you a picture, and inside those pictures would be 10 or 12 objects. Object. There's eject and object. We need to talk about that later in the mind. And so you had to find these pictures that were hidden in pictures. Or words within words. Everybody knows that. The crosswords, where they just give you all these letters and you got to circle the words that you find in there. I always found more words than what they put in there. I always thought that was the trick. That, well, anybody can circle the word. It must be finding the words that they didn't tell you to circle. There's going the extra mile. Now we have an extra mile. You make the mile with a smile. A smile is S means wisdom, by the way. As W means magic. K is a symbol for the spirit. So we're going the extra mile. The XT Ra. Ra's across too. So it's still Christianity. 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 So we're going the extra mile. So you have to have the knowledge of the mile to go the extra mile. You have to be able to smile about it. And then it becomes like a game. But a game that on a different level. A game on a more spiritual, intellectual level than a physical, intellectual level. Going within, using this symbolic language. There are treasures all over the world. And there is no greater treasure than knowing. And that's the canal, right? That's K now. That's spirit now. That's being in the present moment. And all is now. You do this by popping the pineal gland, going within. And, you know, I've heard people say they're awake, they're awake. You know, I know what to be awake is and to be aware is. But there's a greater thing, and it's called knowing. And to me, you'll never get that until you see yourself face to face. To when you walk out of the flesh and there you standing in front of you. And I don't mean your body. Your flesh is the third. Your inside, your mind, your spirit, your soul, even your heart is divided as Venus is divided between balance and harmony in that hidden wisdom of the heavens, Libra, and in the wealth and materialism and security of Taurus in the sign of Earth as Isis. That's the division between the two. Us women, our hearts are divided, especially when we're asked to make a compromise that comes with the promise. If you'll do this, I'll do that. Concessions. I prefer the word each than when we're talking about, say, individual. By each, not the word side, that's just a part. Life can be a beach. I've done the video a few times, and I talk about in a lot of my older videos about going through the alphabet and learning what the symbols mean. Hebrew is easy because they already tell you what the Hebrew and Greek, they already tell you what the and Arabic, they tell you what the symbols mean. So you can transfer that same knowledge into other alphabets if you know which alphabets are flipped from each other. The key to, I call it the 34 key, the 3443 key, and that's the Arabic and the Greek languages, going from the fire languages into the block languages. Arabic and Greek are reversed. And what happened when how they did the reverse, the Bible, Bibble, Babble. Let me show you this. Let me show you how they did it. And then you can just take it forward through other languages that you noticed are reversed by throwing away the vowels, looking at the consonants. The pronunciation is of no avail. It's completely symbolic. So, in the alphabets, in the Greek, we have alpha, beta, gamma, delta. And they are numerically 1, 2, 3, and 4. But in the block languages are relatively new languages. The older languages are the cursive languages, are considered fire languages. They have a curse. Arabic is flipped from here, and it's Aleph, Beth, Daleth, Gimel. The D and the G flip. There's your God. The D and the G flip. There's your God. The God was 34. 33 and 4 are 7. That's why they call it God. That's why they call it God. And if you... I got a ruckus outside. Let me hold on. Everything is connected to everything else. Just knowing what I know about alchemy tells me I know how they did it with the language. I know where this word comes from, right? And I also understand both legends, the Greek and the Arabic, right? And in alchemy, everything's connected to everything else. And I know that Saturn is 7. I know that one is masculine, one is feminine, and that Saturn is masculine and feminine in Capricorn. I know that God, our creator, is represented by Saturn, by the symbol of Capricorn, which is the goat. And that the sign of the pineal gland is Aquarius, because the Greek told me that. The Arabic told me the sign of Aquarius is about the king, which has what? A crown chakra. Everything's connected to everything else. Using the alchemy, I understand how the lead became gold. Actually, they made the gold lead and the lead gold. It was flipped. The Greeks flipped it. Saturn has always had a golden crown. It was stolen. Do you see how Jason and the Argonauts fleeced the flock? That's the Egyptian tale. The flock is in Taurus, in the Pleiades. In your Bible, the word flock comes from Pleiades. Look in the Egyptian astrology and see for yourself. And then the sheep, the flock, are moved out in the next stage, and now they're in the head of the beast, Cetus, the Leviathan, that beast that comes up out of the water. You have a beast that comes up out of the earth and a beast that comes up out of the water. But everybody's looking for this thing that comes from the sky that destroys the beast. And they're afraid of what's coming from the sky. What's coming from the sky is going to save you. Jesus told you, look up, your redemption comes from above. Well, you can look up all you want. You can look for aliens, and who knows? He might send aliens in the physical to save us. That might be his way of doing this. But to me, it's spiritual, and what you have above is the true script before it was scripted. If you have the alchemy to read it. Otherwise, you're going to either get stuck on the mercy pillar or the severity pillar, or between the two. Just back and forth. That's what Daniel meant by knowledge. People are going to run back and forth, and knowledge will increase. That's funny. Let's look at this. Let me get out of here and let's go look at this. Sesame Street. I love Jim Henson told us every freaking thing in symbology. He did the first Cube movie. Are you hearing me? Let's just do this. Let's just talk about Jim Henson for a minute. I don't know if it's still on YouTube. It used to be on YouTube. You might be able to buy it. They're just here. It looks like the whole version. No, that's a free download from archive. Anyway, I've seen the whole thing. Here it is. This looks like the whole thing. It's about an hour long with commercials, so 53 minutes. Again, archive.org. YouTube's only got clips. Jim Henson wrote the first cube back in 1969. It was produced in 1969. That means the idea came up around, and you're talking about the moon landing and all of this going on at this time. All right? I'm showing you a mindset they set up for everybody. And the sheep follow their leader, right? Sheep are going to follow some leader. They'll get on any train, actually. They don't care where it's going. Jim Henson did the first Cube movie. Jim Henson, that's about now. Jim Henson showed you the problem. He showed you the problem. Then he showed you the answer. And that was the Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal movie tells you everything about yourself and the world that's going on around us. That's the movie you need to watch and know. 1982. This is how long this information has been out symbolically, but if you don't know the symbols of alchemy, you won't know what it means. And there's so much disinfo since the internet about what symbols are that I'm just freaking out. I learned these symbols before the internet. I already knew what the logos of the companies were and the emotions that they evoked and the things they triggered in your subconscious. Jim Henson, The Muppets, Sesame Street. Sesame Street teaches you the freaking bibble babble. They teach you how to see with your mind's eye. One of these things is not like the other. Are you paying attention? He was waking us up from that young. But all of that's been corrupted by this other matrix that has been laid over the top of us. It's just more scribbling by the scribes. But this is truth. So, and he puts it in such a way a child can understand it, because a child doesn't know what ABC is. A child, it is automatically. That's why they show us these symbols as kids when we get in kindergarten, and they give us triangles and circles and squares, and they watch what we do with them, because they know that's our subconscious reacting to those symbols. Which one did you play with? The ball? Which one are you drawn to? The triangle? The cube? Are you hearing what I'm telling you? From the micro to the macro, everything affects everything else. This is a domino effect going down. And you can look up in the heavens and know what the real script is. And think of the zodiac as a big record album. And the 7 planets are 7 songs that are playing all at one time. The sun song, he's the loudest. Ba, 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 da, da. He's got your attention. He's got everything going. He's ruling this March. Sun astrology. And then you've got the esoteric lunar astrology, that dark magic that's going on underground, that's manipulating everything in the subconscious mind. And then you have those, what I call the inner chakras. The chakras of the natural world, actually, of reproduction, emotion, reptilian action and reaction, coming from Mars and Jupiter. That's the songs they sing. These are the songs of the spheres, people. Mercury is that voice, and it can cry out from above or below. The voice and the heart, because they're divided, right? Everything is divided. Mercury is divided between the damsel in distress in Virgo and the wisdom of Thoth and Hermes and Buddha in Gemini. You can react either way. If you find yourself being that damsel in distress, go to that. And what does Mercury teach? And with Thoth, Buddha, that's hermetics. That's alchemy. Go to the symbols. They'll save you. You will find your power there. The power is in the logos. Logos means power in the Greek. It means symbol in another language. That's why they tell you, run to the cross. It's the fixed cross. That's the power symbol of them all. And then you see the power symbol upside down. That's disempower. Take up your cross. Follow me daily. You must overcome. A third of you must overcome the mutable cross. A third of you must overcome, or us must overcome, the cardinal cross. I'm on the cardinal cross. And a third, you just have to come on over. You're already on the fixed cross. Spiritually speaking. But you can be taken down. They have us on the wrong crosses with tropical astrology. I don't care what anybody else says, and I don't care what their apologetics are. I've done my homework, and tropical astrology, that calendar is 1700 years off. And it lines up exactly, I mean exactly, with the time that the New Testament was written by the Church of Nicaea. That book of Revelation, if you understood the language in it, you would understand it's older than what we're told. We were told that the image in heaven had a face of a man, and a face of a lion, and a face of an ox, and a face of an eagle. Well, the astrology chart that we have doesn't have the face of the eagle. It has the face of the scorpion. So that tradition is older. It goes back to when the eagle was in power, and that's going to take you back a long way. That's how old that is. And it's all alchemically, symbolically, images that you will find in the heavens. And when they talk about the throne and these images, and then this Son of Man, these 24 elders, it's all talking about different zodiacs. The hanging gardens of Babylon. The Garden of Eden was a zodiac. It was an alchemical zodiac. And so we've gone through several different sets of these. They keep flipping it and changing it. But there was an original. And it was based on let there be, not thou shalt not. That's why you get the do what thou wilt coming up. Oh, you're going to do what you want to do, but you won't be doing what you want to do now because the parameters and the laws are changing. And we're moving into the law of equivalent exchange. You will reap what you sow. So you're going to think twice, 3 times. What does SpongeBob SquarePants say? Double take. 1, 2, 3. That's a double take. You got to do it 3 times. There's the wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus. Thrice great. Thrice majestic. Why? Because Mercury, when he eclipses the sun in a Mercury transit and goes retrograde, he crosses the sun 1 time. He backs up in front of the sun 2 times. And then he has to repeat that pattern for a 3rd time. It's a Mercury retrograde transit. Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great, because Mercury has all the answers. Mercury is telling you have the outer voice that you speak with alphabets. Mercury is divided, so he's that Thoth, Hermes, symbolic, alchemical voice within your subconscious. All of you need to connect with Gemini. We're all on this hero's journey. We all have to go through our planets, and even the moon and the sun go through each of these houses. And then they're represented again by the people around you. And you know, that's why they got their finger on us, because they, the powers that be, have our birth certificates. I call them the script writers. They were the original watchers or astrologers. Astrologers watch the heavens. They make the predictions. They're the false, lying fucking prophets. Because they scribble the script. They don't want us to know the truth. They could tell us, or just get the hell out of the way and let us go in ourselves. Isn't that what Jesus said? You don't go in and you just don't let them do it. Well, we got a generation coming that's at 2020 that's fixing to bust the fucking doors down. That's their destiny. Pluto, and born with Pluto and Virgo. Pluto and fire of Leo, we started that damn fire. But it's the generation coming after us. And their time is coming in 2020. We set everything on fire. That baby boomer generation. But the generation that comes after that, they have a more spiritual essence. They were raised in the 70s with all, where everybody, instead of pulling a gun on each other, they were on the disco floor seeing who could dance better. It was a fucking dance party. That was the collective subconscious. But now, it's no longer these compromising shades of gray. No more harmony. It is all out harvest time. So I've been telling you to weed your own gardens out. This, I can't say enough about this 2 eclipses, 7 years apart, the signs that they occur in, fire signs and air signs, fire and air, burning sky. You know, a lot of the music symbolically that was given to us back in the 60s and 70s is for now. It's for now. And they've overlaid us. They played leapfrog or hip-hop. They leapfrogged us. They're pushing us. They're pushing the agenda. They try to keep you off balance. And they use 23.5 degrees to do it. You're always tilted to one side or the other. The earth wobbles. We're all wobbling. They've got us all off balance. It's magic. The number 23, the W. They've got you off balance. You're just wobbling around. You're on the tilt-a-whirl. You're at the carnal veil. Do I still need to keep going through this? And again, I'm going to say to those of you, I've had several comments about using the Bible and it's a dead word. It's dark. You don't know what you're talking about. You didn't do your homework. Somebody, listen to me, somebody who doesn't have something intelligent to say, they resort to insult. Stop insulting people. It just shows how ignorant you are. You're showing your ignorance when you insult people. You're showing your immaturity and your infantileness when you point fingers at others. They did it. She made me do it. You need to start taking responsibility for yourself, or you're going to find out the hard way. I'm trying to tell you, this Jesus character, which that ain't his freaking name. They scribbled that. They gave you the name of the son of Zeus, Theseus, the Jesus. In Spanish, that's exactly how you would say it. Theseus would be pronounced the Jesus. And that's the son of Jupiter, of the lower chakras. That's going to not save your soul, but maybe let you reproduce so you can have a flesh legacy of children. Maybe that's what that energy is there. But the one upstairs, pineal, it's the pen of God. It's the pine L. It's the pen. L means thee, and thee means God. It's the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. We talked about the sword and the stone. Joan of Arc. Oh my goodness. What an alchemical story there. Because she's got the sword, right? Swords are words. To pull the sword from the stone, you must pull the words from the tones. Then you become King Arthur, and you write your own damn story because you have the pen. That's what I'm going to step off this. I don't like talking about the politics and what all's going on because I think it's a distraction. But everything is connected to everything else, so I'll go here. It has to do with Donald Trump's pen. He promotes the pen. You can just type the pen in, or Donald Trump pen in Google, and he even has one for sale. Yeah, it's Donald Trump's pen. It's about the pen. A lot of the conspiracy theory gets going around, and they keep using this word pen, and you don't understand. What they're telling you is this man pulled the sword from the fucking stone, and he knows what's going on. Big change coming. They know what time it is. They know exactly what time is. They know when everything is, where everything is, and nothing has been lost. You take that and do what you want with that information. But he's got the pen. He pulled the words from the tones. He broke the code. He knows what they're fucking talking about. And he's got the proof to do it. Right now, what's going on is everybody's being given a chance to get the hell out. It's like The Exorcist. Get out. Right? They're getting the hell out. Because they're either going to get out or go down. That's the symbology I'm seeing right now. Get out or go the fuck down. And if you question what I'm saying to you, Google Reddit resignations and see how many people, these big CEOs from political, business world, bankers, all kinds of companies that are running all these logos, everybody's getting the hell out of Dodge. There are suicides, there are murders, and there are resignations everywhere because he's got the pen. He pulled the sword from the stone. There's your King Arthur. And you don't realize it. You can go watch. They're doing everything they can to take him down. But that's another story for another day. I don't want to get involved in politics. I want to teach astrology and alchemy because that, to me, that is the greatest gift I can give you because it is the tools that help empower you on a personal level. And the Bible is one of the keys to do that. That's the manual. The Bible is not a religious book. It's a freaking astrology book. It's an alchemy and astrology book that tells you how to live in this world, how to take up your cross, understand who you are, and follow the Lamb wherever he goes. Meditation, going within. It is the greatest thing ever written were the red words. Why are they red? Why didn't they choose blue? Why are the other words black and white? Oh, do you not know what black and white is? It's given to you by the feminine. The church is feminine, but it's the Masonic element. Freemasonry came out of Egypt. It's black. And religion came out of Pisces. It's white. And the yellow guy's in the middle. The yellow guy represents Asia and the Middle East. So you got to know Arabic to put the two together. I was lucky enough to learn Arabic starting as a teenager because I was in the right place at the right time. The stars freaking lined up for it, and it changed my life learning that language. And the more I studied it, the more other languages I started learning, and I started seeing the associations and the patterns and chasing them all back to their root. And it didn't matter what language. When I went to find it, it led me to the heavens and to the astrology of that particular culture, to their legends, their astrology. When the Vatican and the British empires under Jupiter have gone around the world and stealing and destroying all this knowledge. And it's all the zodiacs. It is the hanging gardens of Babylon that people came from around the world to see. Why? Because they had navigated the world after the flood and redone the zodiac. You got to know where you are. We're at the frickin' Opera House. It tells a story. Battlestar Galactica, all about the Opera House. That's what Oprah's about, by the way. It's the It's the circle, house. It's the circle house, the zodiac, the the that's what Peru is, by the way. That's why it's so connected. It's the house of Thalum. It's the house of Aquarius. It's the house of the pineal gland. Lima, Peru. You wonder why they name places certain things. There's a damn reason for it. There's a reason for everything. There are no coincidences. Everything is connected to everything else. And if you can start to see the connections, then you start to see the web. They've given you, they have overlaid, that's why they call the internet the World Wide Web, and it's the internet. It's the net, the inside. This is a war for your mind. And you don't want to get trapped in the internet. You have to enter, E-N-T-E-R, the net. They double cross you. You only have one. You don't need to throw the other one down. We have an inner spiritual cross that's connected to the heavens. With tropical astrology, they gave you an earthly, fleshly cross. And it's magic. It's 23.5 degrees off. And here's the good one. The 5 is E. They gave you a different we than the real we. That's a different we than the real we. It's 23.5 degrees off. That's why I tell you that for a natal chart, I highly recommend Saturnalian astrology. But you can look at tropical astrology, and in the physical world, because of what they did, they've got the whole world 1700 years off. The whole world. It's tilted by 17, not just 23.5 degrees, 1700 years. We got some catching up to do. All right. This has gotten way too long. I'll do some more of this later. So your homework now is going to be Jim Henson and Dark Crystal, The Cube, and as much of the old, listen to me, the old Sesame Street before he died. After he died, it was taken over. All of the great writers learned these alchemical symbols. Look, I gave you there's a link below this video for alchemy PDF books. Go through those books, learn those symbols, but also learn when you see that symbol with a different name, it comes from a different tradition. And that's why the zodiacs are so key, because it is the original alchemical circle. So if you can lay it over the zodiac, it'll put it in its right order. But again, knowing the different zodiacs, Stellarium teaches you all of this. If you're just willing to take the time and learn it, you should turn on Stellarium every night and go through a different star lore. It's called star lore. And then see what it means in the other traditions, and just start putting it in a journal or a graph or something. Get you a big poster board and a Sharpie, and write down Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Sun, Moon. And write down these 7 entities that we deal with, and then learn their names in the different traditions. Every video in the description box is a link to Planetary linguistics. I don't even know where it is. It's in the description box. Planetary linguistics. It's going to tell you the names of all the planets in the different tongues. Woohoo! There's an eye-opener for you, especially where Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury are concerned. Because that's who, and Venus, that's who they lie about the most, those four. That's part of the scribble. But it'll all start waking up to you, and then it'll be like this huge scavenger hunt. You'll get so hungry for more because it feeds your soul. It's feeding that starving subconscious mind that's sitting back there in the dark waiting on you. When the dark's the light and the light's the dark. When that light comes on, the light of the sun looks like an LED light. That's how bright it is. And I mean physically. I'm talking when you walk in the kingdom, that light is so bright, you realize that the sun outside is just a light in my closet. That's all it is. The inside's the outside and the outside's the inside. They've turned us inside out like I've showed you the donut, the toroidal, and that it's still all one thing. All right. I'm not going to punish you anymore. Y'all go commit that random act of kindness, because that's what's going to tip the scales for you and the world and this age. You want to do something, just do anything nice for somebody. Be that kind man. I don't think human worked out too well, but we can be the kind man, can we not? Got a few charts I need to get done. Y'all please bear with me. I am playing catch up, and I am trying to pack up everything, get everything ready, and steadily, daily, I have been out looking at different places to possibly move to. But because I don't have a vehicle, just going to look at one place turns into over a half-a-day event. So I am moving along as quickly as I can. It seems the pattern with me is like a baby. Every 9 months I move, every 9 months. Something new in my life, new, every 9 months. It's almost like gestation. So we'll see. But I'm ready for this one to be over. It's been loud, noisy. I think it served its purpose. I've been able, with all the sunshine here, I have been able to really get deep in, and being alone, having time to delve into this without the distractions. I'll just go lock myself in the bathroom and turn on that fan to hide the noise from outside, and I contemplate and I meditate, and I'm at real peace right now. I know the world seems real chaotic, but I feel like I've built my house upon the rock instead of the sand. So I'm not unstable right now. I'm not, and all of us, we go through these alchemical stages, and an unstable mixture can also be represented astrologically. You can see these unstable mixtures. Somebody was asking me about charts of compatibility, and I have done them, but I see no need for them, because once you have your own chart, then you know what you're compatible with. So it will define everything else around you. It does the defining. I call it the root. I call it the table of contents. It's the phonetics of the language. We were given, instead of phonics, I'm going to do this one because I love playing with the French. It's, oh, I hate that, phonetics. It's fox, it's phonetics. Everything's faux pas. It's not real. And you'll learn to see the difference between the real and the not real. I'm just trying to teach you how to see. But if you'll go inside, that's the only one that can teach you to know. Then you'll know. I can't give you that. Nobody can give you that. Only you can give you that. And then your we becomes the me. Your me becomes the we. That's why they give you this we with the two eyes. They give you the we, the magic with the two eyes. I'm going to give you the magic with the E and no eyes.